Dear devotees, today we are very fortunate. We are very much blessed to have the association of His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Maharaj. So he will be taking us through the Srimad Bhagavatam. And as he had mentioned earlier, he has another commitment somewhere. So he is going to be done in exactly 1 hour period. So we all should try to pay attention to what Maharaj has for us. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. So I'll put the verse on the screen and then we will begin. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha kalpatarumyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Sarasating Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshvavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Utama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So nice to be with you. After several months, I've been traveling. Now I'm back in Poland for a few days. And so I'm happy to have this opportunity. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, the punishment and reward of Kali. Someone might be rather surprised that there's mention reward of Kali, but that's exactly what is happening in this, starting with this verse to the end of the chapter. And in this verse 36, we are hearing from Kali himself. Kalir uvāca yatra vātha vātsyāmi sārva-bhauma tavājñayā lakṣaye tatra tatrāpi tvām ātteṣu-śarāsanam. So Kali uvāca, the personality of Kali, said, yatra, anywhere, kva, and everywhere, va, either, atha, thereof, vatsyāmi, I shall reside. Sārva-bhauma, O Lord or Emperor of the earth, tava, your, ājñayā, by the order, lakṣaye, excuse me, I see, tatra, anywhere and everywhere, api, also, tvām, your Majesty, atha, taken over, issue, arrows, ātteṣu-śarāsanam bows. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And the translation is, O Your Majesty, though I may live anywhere and everywhere under your order, I shall but see you with bow and arrows wherever I look. And the short purport, the personality of Kali could see that Mahārāja Parīkṣit was the emperor of all lands all over the world. And thus, anywhere he might live, he would have to meet with the same mood of the king. The personality of Kali was meant for mischief, and Mahārāja Parīkṣit was meant for subduing all kinds of mischief-mongers, especially the personality of Kali. It was better, therefore, for the personality of Kali to have been killed by them then and there, instead of being killed elsewhere. He was, after all, a surrendered soul before the king, and it was for the king to do what was required. And so ends the purport to this verse. Mahārāja Parīkṣit has been meeting this personality of Kali and has witnessed how he has been abusing animals, abusing cow and bull. And seeing this, he concludes there is only one proper response, and that is to punish this criminal by killing him. That's his initial conclusion. But Kali is clever. Kali is, he's not so easily overcome. And he knows that Parīkṣit Maharaj is a very duty-conscious king. So he's showing his duty consciousness by intending to inflict what nowadays would be called capital punishment. That's one way of showing his sense of duty, but another way that a king should show his sense of duty is by protecting those who take shelter of him. So Kali is quick thinking, and he sees, if I just remain in this position of being a defiant, evil, a defiant person, then it's going to cost me my life. Better to submit. Then there's a chance that I will live because of this second way in which a king exercises his duty. And it works. His throwing himself before the king, in a sense, forces Mahārāja Parīkṣit to back off from his punishment and to give a different sentence. And the sentence that he gives is that he should leave his kingdom and just go elsewhere. Get out of my kingdom. I was remembering In modern history, we may know of some cases where criminals are expelled from a country and sent elsewhere. This is how at least part of Australia was populated by Europeans. They created a colony for criminals from England, and they were sent to Australia. Or another example is Napoleon Bonaparte, when he was finally defeated after he had been rampaging all over Europe. He was finally taken and he was exiled to St. Helena, this small island which I think is off the west coast of Africa, isn't it? And he had to spend the rest of his life on this island. I think he lived a rather comfortable life there. So this was Mahārāja Parīkṣit's idea, banish him from the kingdom. But now what's happening in this verse, yatra kvaha va atha vātsyāmi. He's saying that everywhere or anywhere, yatra kva, anywhere that I may reside, vatsyāmi, by your order, tava ājñayā, by your order. So I will follow your order. I'm happy to follow your order. But there's one problem. And the problem is tatra. Everywhere that I might go, there's you. You're not going to, in other words, your kingdom extends all over the entire world. And because your kingdom extends over the entire world, I'm going to be seeing you, lakṣaye, tvām ātteṣu-śarāsanam. I see you, tvām, who are and arrows, and you are given over to use them. Atta can mean taken over. You have this inclination to use your bow and arrows, so I'm always going to be in a state of anxiety. And so in the purport, Prabhupada is making an interesting point that it could be said that there's going to be no benefit in living somewhere else, because you will come after me, so why don't you just kill me here and now? So that could be a way of understanding his reasoning. But then the next verse is going to give a different idea. Please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. Let me be somewhere safe within your government. So one thing we might appreciate here, sometimes it's nice to think of comparisons. I've probably mentioned this before, but whether there's any parallel or contrast in the Bhagavatam. So it occurred to me that one possible parallel, which is at the same time a contrast, comes in the third canto with Swayambhuva Manu being ordered by Lord Brahma to create progeny. And Swayambhuva Manu says, yes, I'm happy to follow your order. There's only one problem. What is the problem? There's no place where I can do that. The earth has sunk down into the lower regions. And of course, this leads to the Leela of Varahadeva's appearance to confront and fight and kill Hiranyaksha. But the idea that there's no place to be, there's no space to follow a superior's order is interesting. Yeah. We understand that devotional service is such that there are no obstacles, that devotional service can be enacted. We may have a certain idea of how to serve, but circumstances may make it not possible to serve in that particular way. Does that mean that we cannot serve the Lord? No, it just means that we cannot serve the Lord in a particular way according to our particular conception or habit, but there will certainly be some other way that we can serve. And this is one of the ongoing challenges for transcendentalists is, okay, here I am in these circumstances. Now, what does Krishna want me to do? How can I serve him? What is this particular way in which I can serve the Lord? Considering all the present conditions, the limitations. This material world means we're confronted with countless restrictions, limitations, some of them stronger than others, some of them more real than others, many of them within our own mind. And so much of our job, our task is to overcome the internal limitations so that we can extend ourselves beyond those limitations and in this way serve the Lord. So here we have the king on one side, who is a kind of, he is the ideal kshatriya for Canto 1. Canto 4, there's going to be another ideal kshatriya, namely King Prithu. But for now, we're introduced to Mahārāja Parīkṣit. And of course, it's all a big preparation for the meeting that's going to take place in the final chapter of the first canto between Mahārāja Parīkṣit and Shukadeva Goswami. And it's important, the Bhagavatam sees it as important for us to have a very clear sense of just what sort of person Parīkṣit Maharaj is. Not just in terms of how powerful he is, not just in terms of him being the last surviving descendant of the Pandavas, but much more his character as a devotee, but a devotee with power, with political power. And what is happening to his condition of having political power? It's getting undermined. And that is one of the functions of this episode, where Kali is, in his clever way, entering into the kingdom to undermine, in effect, the power of Mahārāja Parīkṣit, and also, of course, to undermine the piety of people in general. And in this way also, the Bhagavatam first canto is setting the scene for us in terms of time frame. The time frame is very important in the sense that why is the Bhagavatam spoken and heard? Why are we hearing the Bhagavatam? Why are we discussing it? One of the central reasons in terms of the time context is we're in the age of Kali. Krishna has departed. Krishna Swadamo Bhagate. When Krishna has left, Krishna Swadama, to his own abode, upagate, he has departed. Dharma Jnana Adibi Saha, together with Dharma and Jnana. He's taken all the Dharma with him. Wait a minute. I thought the Lord comes to this world to reestablish Dharma. And now he just takes it away with him. What's going on here? Not only does he take Dharma, he takes Jnana with him also. So he's really leaving us bereft. Kalo nashta drisha. And here we are left. It's not just that we're left without Krishna and without Dharma and without Jnana. We're put into this terrible age of Kali, in which drish, this power to see, vision, is nashta, it's destroyed. It's finished. We're blind, we can't see. We're in a very difficult situation. So what? To do Purana Arka Aduna Udita. Purana Arko Dunodita, with all the sandhi. So this Purana, this sun-like Purana or sun Purana, Aduna, now Udita, has arisen. So it's compared to the sun. And this first canto is setting that scene, how Kali enters. And therefore, this account of Kali's, how he's going to be placed in particular places, particular kinds of places in this world, it can be called an etiological narrative. Etiology is about what is the origin of something or the cause of something. And an etiological story, etiological narrative, is telling us how did it come about that, in this case, the influence of Kali appeared. Anyway, so that's what this verse is introducing. It's introducing a problem, so to say, from the perspective of this personified Kali. And the solution is going to be given in the next verses. I don't know if you like to save the following verse for tomorrow's speaker.
No, Mahārāja, you may touch on it if you need to, and we would like to hear also. So if you may do that, we will appreciate.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah, we can read it.
Yeah.
Tan me dharma vritang shreshta. This is still Kali speaking. Stanam nirdeshtum arhasi yatra eva niyata vatsya ātteṣu-śarāsanam ānuṣāsanam. Therefore, O chief amongst the protectors of religion, please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. So he's not saying just go ahead and kill me here on the spot. He's saying give me a place where I can stay. And then Sutta Goswami is going to say that Mahārāja Parīkṣit will indeed grant him particular places where he can stay. And what are those particular places? It's places where alcohol is served, where gambling is practiced, where prostitution is engaged in, and where animals are slaughtered. And there's going to be a fifth place, namely where gold is hoarded. So there's a definite message there. It's a pretty clear message that the troubles of the age of Kali can be located, can be identified with these activities of eating animals and intoxication, and gambling, and illicit sexual activity, and we may want to say, and banking, or another form of speculative action, because gambling, one could argue that this is, in a sense, what banks are about, dealing with gold in speculative ways. So this is how we can, I think, appreciate what's happening in terms of the story of what's going on here. And as I said, it's leading up to Mahārāja Parīkṣit's, we could say, his fall from power. As I said, he is the powerful king. He's the king of the whole world. But in one stroke, that's going to be finished. And we could say it's because of his one weakness, his Achilles heel. I think you may know Achilles was blessed that he could not be killed. Every part of his body was protected except the heel of, I forget which foot, and it was that heel in which an arrow was shot. And that's an interesting echo, of course, of the story of Krishna's departure from the world, that he is shot in the foot by Jara, by the hunter. Mahārāja Parīkṣit, his Achilles heel is his anger, and his anger is tied to his physical condition. And I think this is a nice, a kind of warning and lesson for us in general, that we may at times be in stressful conditions physically. Mahārāja Parīkṣit was hungry, he was thirsty, he was tired. And it was in that condition that he expressed his anger as he did, not thinking carefully enough that this yogi who is seemingly ignoring him is actually absorbed, deeply absorbed in meditation. So much so that he doesn't even notice when the king hangs this dead snake around his neck. It's only after the sage's son comes that he kind of wakes up from his meditation and sees what has happened. The point being that Mahārāja Parīkṣit's temper was tested to the limit, and he was not able to restrain himself, and that cost him his life. But, of course, what was his loss became his gain, and what was his gain became the gain for all of us. That we could hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, which Prabhupada calls sometimes the beautiful story of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that we could hear this wonderful scripture. Well, these are a few thoughts. I think I'll pause here and see if there are any comments on these points, first of all, and then we can perhaps go from there a few minutes more. Any reflections, first of all? Maybe since you have been reading this section, I've just sort of jumped in. It's been a while since I read this section, so maybe you have some reflections how the story is going.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mahārāja, for being here and diving us deep into the Srimad Bhagavatam discuss. Like I said earlier in the class, devotees, Mahārāja has barely 20 minutes from now. So we are not able to go past that time. So if anyone has a question, comment, please, you may do so. But before then, we want to formally recognize the presence of His Grace Srivastvanachari. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for being here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Mahārāja, for giving us the darshan. Hare Krishna, Mahārāja. Jai.
Nice to see
you. Visit Africa without physically coming.
Say again?
I said you visited Africa. You're in Africa.
Yeah. Well,
by your presence.
Thank you. We'll have to see how I would do that.
I have a question.
Yeah, I think you may go ahead. He's listening. Yes.
Yeah. The 4 principles of religion represented by mercy, cleanliness, austerity, and truthfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It is said that in this age of Kali, only one leg of religion is still surviving in the form of truthfulness. But the question is, when you look around, you see a lot of falsehood, a lot of gambling, a lot of many things that are happening to actually destroy this one leg of the. So I'm wondering, is that one leg still there? Is it still available? Or is completely destroyed?
I ask myself the same thing sometimes. Well, I would say one point is, of course, especially in the last, seems like just in the last 3 years, especially starting with when this pandemic kind of took over. Actually, before that, there was a lot of talk about what they called fake news. And I was amazed to see that there were, I think it was a video I saw explaining one group of of teenagers. I think they were in Bulgaria, and they had made it their kind of full-time business to produce and distribute fake news on the internet. And somehow or other, they were making money this way. And I was really shocked and horrified and amazed that this is going on. You know, we could go on and on about how truth and truthfulness is compromised. And at the same time, it seems to me that the fact that, for example, the notion fake news is there calls attention to awareness that there's real news. So there's awareness that this is something true, this is something not true. The boundary is often blurred, but there's the desire for truth, I think, is very strong. And another way that we saw this was in how much very vocal distrust there was in the public discourse about this pandemic. There was so much distrust in, you know, the scientists, so much distrust in the politicians. And I don't want to get into how justified or not justified that distrust was. That's not the point. The point is there was this distrust. Why? Because there is a very strong desire that people have an evaluation of the truth, even if they're actually become agents for for non-truth. But it raised a very deep question: where is the truth? You know, especially just in this practical matter of protecting ourselves against a particular virus. And we were all thinking, gosh, where is the real truth about this? What to do, what not to do, what to think, what not to think, isn't it? And
Yes.
so just the fact that this strong impulse is there to know what is what may be sufficient to at least hold on to as evidence that, okay, at least that one leg is, it may be hobbling, it may be very unsteady, but at least that leg is there.
Okay, Maharaj, thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Anyone else with any question, please? Hare Chakra Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. I accept my obeisances, Maharaj. My
Can
question
we
is,
can we see your face?
yeah,
Possible?
it's possible. I'm still driving, but it's
Oh,
okay.
you're still driving. Okay.
Yeah, but it's okay. Maharaj, my question is, when we read a text, we understand that Kali asked Mahārāja Parīkṣit to offer him a place to live. And Mahārāja Parīkṣit offered him the 3 places, like a couple of places, like a place where gambling is taking place, a place where prostitution is going on, and a place where, what do we call it?
Yeah, 5 places.
Yeah.
Drinking.
So it is also said that, so if you visit such places, then you will get the full influence. You will be influenced fully by Kali, because Kali has the authority to actually work in those places. So my question is, before Kali asked for these places, the places to reside, it means these places were already in existence. So
Yes, I was thinking about this.
So before then, then what was influencing those visiting those places to go on doing what they were doing before Kali was permitted to go there?
Yes, exactly. This question came to my mind. You are reading my mind. Well, here's the best that I could come up with as I was thinking about it, is there are always going to be people who insist on engaging in these activities, and therefore there will be places that facilitate. Now, I have to get cautious, because you're going to say, well, what about Satya Yuga? Okay, maybe not in Satya Yuga, but in Treta Yuga, in Dvapara Yuga, certainly there would have already been some of this going on. And so that would be facilitated. But when Kali comes, then it becomes routinized, I think is maybe a good way to put it. Just like now in India. Now in India, it's become completely routinized. It's become completely standard that there are bars, there's sale of alcohol everywhere. I was just reading, there are more than 3,000 properly registered slaughterhouses in India. But that's only the registered slaughterhouses. There's any number of thousands of unofficial. So everything is going on, there's McDonald's in India now, right? So this making it routine, making it standard, making it just part of regular society, naturalizing, sometimes it would be called. They've naturalized these things. We can say that is due to Kali. That is Kali's presence making it.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Maharaj, if I may ask you one question, and that is, I am thinking, I may be wrong, but I am thinking that Kali was being very clever here when he was talking to Mahārāja Parīkṣit. I don't know if it was as a matter of being frank or truthful, but he was finding a way to have a place to live. And like you were saying, the next verse, even though he's asking for a place to patch, but here he's actually asking for a place where he can live permanently. So Mahārāja Parīkṣit eventually obliged and then awarded him certain places that he can live. Now you were talking about how UK at some point used to ship their convicts to Australia. Now these convicts, as we understand, helped build Australia as we see today. Now, I do not know if UK had to pay something to Australia had to pay something to UK for sending them their ex-convicts to help build their country. And the question now is, why would Mahārāja Parīkṣit allow Kali to live in such places without taking anything from them or asking them whether you want this person to live with you? So it's like Mahārāja Parīkṣit actually forced Kali upon those people. Maybe if Kali were not to be in their environment, they may not be as bad as they are today. So do they have any right to blame Mahārāja Parīkṣit? Hare Krishna.
That's also. Now there is a question that I hadn't thought of, and it's very good. It's food for thought. That's all I can say. I mean, today we think in such terms, asking permission and so on. I guess the point, what I would think is to be made here is just that Mahārāja Parīkṣit was all powerful as a kshatriya, as the king, as the emperor. So he could do as he desired, and what he desired was accepted because he was accepted as being a pious king and as protecting the citizens. So the citizens would see no need to question that action of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. I would say like that. That would be the culture. And you see that, this is something of a significant difference between the sort of modern egalitarian cultural understanding we have, well, not just in the West, mainly in the West, as opposed to the more authoritarian cultures, which have prevailed, especially in the past, but certainly prevail in some places today. And one could argue, well, it's actually going on more or less everywhere, just covered. So I would just say like that. Mahārāja Parīkṣit didn't have to ask. And the people didn't feel the need to question. And we could say that's unfortunate. Maybe they should have challenged him. They should have said, hey, wait, we don't need this Kali guy. He's just going to make trouble, so better find somewhere else for him. Don't put us in more trouble. Don't put us in more trouble than we already are.
Thank you so much, Mahārāja. I know you have very few minutes to leave, but I was thinking of this thing when you were mentioning about fake news, because just yesterday, one right-wing conspiracy theorist was charged and fined in the US here close to $1 billion because he was, there was this, excuse me my language, very sad, unfortunate shooting incident that took place in one of our schools here in the States. But this guy has a big chunk of followers and he was lying to them, but he's been fined. So I thought that the COVID cases was like almost dead, but it's still rampaging. And I heard you said that you are now in Poland, and with the Russia-Ukraine war, there have been so many immigrants moved to Poland. So Mahārāja, we'll plead with you to take extra caution so that you keep yourself safe. Mahārāja, we're pleading with you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
We're living in a troubled world in a troubled time.
Yeah.
So what we can do is take all the more shelter of the Lord, and with all focus and determination, take up the Sankirtan movement and chant Hare Krishna and give Krishna to others.
Yes. Thank you so much,
As
Mahārāja.
much as we can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you
the
so
best
much,
to all of you.
Mahārāja. So at this point, devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and then we chant the Lord's Hare Krishna mantra to express our appreciation for Mahārāja's presence here and guiding us through the Srimad. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kapataruvyascha, Kripa Sindhuvya Ivacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Jai His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Swami Mahārāja ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna
Hare
Africa
Krishna.
ki jai.